Ako kasi yun nga, dahil nauna kong pinanood si Disney, then with Netflix, it gives you a more understanding yung longingness ni Gepetto sa anak niya and what pushed him to create a puppet.
Hello and good evening and welcome to the Cup of Geek podcast, and this would be our episode 6. Nakahaba na pala, naka-episode 6 na tayo since we started the podcast.
Episode 6 na.
Oo nga, we started the podcast around November. And syempre, I would like to remind everyone who's watching us right now that you can catch our podcast here on YouTube if you're watching this on video, on Spotify, and also on Apple Podcast. So, dun sa tatlong platforms na yun, you can catch us there. So kung gusto nyo na may video, you can watch us on YouTube and Spotify. Pero kung gusto nyo na audio only, you can catch us sa Apple Podcast. So again, good evening everyone. We have para exciting topics right now because we're shooting actually the last episodes for the year, no? So this would be our Christmas special. Our Christmas recommendation for everyone para sa mga viewers natin and what we would want you to watch this Christmas. So let's see if magugustuhan niyo yung recommendation namin. And at the same time, watch out for the next episode because we will wrap up our 2022 with something very interesting. So malalaman nyo when you watch the next episode. So that will be coming in a few days after you watch this video. So again, welcome everyone. Let me introduce my co-hosts for tonight. Ayan. Una sa lahat, ang pinaka kaagad, ano? Ang pinaka matipano. At makikita niyo na siya next year sa big screen. Sa big screen
Pwede,
talaga.
Pwede.
Although you have probably seen him in one of the film festivals. Pero let me introduce to you Blake. Introduce yourself and saan ka ba namin makita in terms of your socials?
Hello, everybody. This is Blake Salcedo, aka Uncle Blake. You guys can always find me on TikTok, IG, Facebook. That's it.
Ayan, and find him na pagala-gala sa Seven Seas. Sa Seven Seas.
Sa Atlantis.
Sa Atlantis pala, Ayan. Oh, and then I also have my co-host here. And syempre, napaka-paskong-paskong background, no? We are celebrating Christmas here in the Philippines. If you're watching us from the States or from anywhere else in the world, we are from the Philippines. So we'll be speaking a little bit of Tagalog and a little bit of English in our podcast. Pero at the same time, syempre, we represent the Philippines in representing the geek culture dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya nandito sa podcast natin, syempre, si Geeky Pinoy.
Yo, what's up? So, yun. Yes, hi, I'm Geeky Pinoy, and you can catch me on TikTok and on Facebook. So, those are my major platforms. So, I'm not that active yet on Twitter or Instagram, but I'll try my best so we can connect more. And yes, we're from the Philippines, the country that celebrates Christmas starting September. So,
Halloween.
so our Christmas tree needs a little cleaning now because it's been up for
For a
how many
few
months
months.
now. But yeah. So yes, we're from the Philippines. Well, yeah, as Ray said, we'll try our best to speak as much English as we can for our international audience, if there are. And yes, Tagalog din syempre para sa mga kapwa natin Pinoy, Geeky Pinoy. Yep.
Yon, thank you, Noah. And syempre, introduce ko rin sarili ko. I am Ray and I am your Night of Fun. And you can find me on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Sa Twitter naman, I am @night_fun kasi I think taken a Night of Fun sa Twitter, so I don't know why. But yes, you can catch me on those socials. And yeah, I talk a lot about comics and basically comic book shows in whatever platform, may it be HBO Go, Disney Plus, Netflix, wherever. So There you go. So enough of our formalities. Again, let me remind everyone to please like and follow this video, this podcast. Make sure
Yep.
to comment as well. Whatever your thoughts in during our show, type nyo lang siya para naman we can also get your insights and then maybe talk about them during our next episode. So, yeah, thank you guys for
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we go to our topic, tanong ko muna sa inyo, Blake and Noah. Since this is a Christmas episode, meron ba kayong specific na Christmas movie or Christmas show that you have in mind na gusto niyo i-recommend before we go into our main topic for this evening? Kasi ako, while you're thinking about it, ako gusto ko yung movie ng Polar Express for some reason. So,
Polar
gusto ko yung
Express,
movie na yon. Siguro dahil napaka ano lang yan, napaka ganda ng energy ng anong movie, and it's on a train, and syempre yung the animation that was done there was at that time napakaganda na rin, no? So, yeah, I would want everyone, if you're watching Polar Express, and I think I would need to rewatch it in the next couple of days before Christmas kasi syempre ito yung aking Christmas must watch every time this season. So yan, Blake, Noah, how about you?
For me, I can probably recommend two movies that you can watch that is perfect for the holiday Christmas season. These movies are Gremlins.
Okay.
I mean, it's a Christmas
Yep.
movie. It takes place at Christmas, and we got Phoebe Cates in there. I mean, it's Phoebe Cates. Everyone loves Phoebe Cates. Second, I recommend Black Christmas, the original 1970s version, starring Olivia Hussey. I keep forgetting how to pronounce your last name. But it's Juliet from Romeo and Juliet. You know who it is now. Yeah. I mean, they're Christmas movies anyway, so, go watch them.
Yes. Sige.
Ako-
Definitely.
Ako, I can't say recommend, pero I grew up watching Jingle All the Way by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, that
If you
movie.
remember that.
What's that
I think
cookie
it's
down?
yeah. I don't know that I always remember watching it after Noche Buena or before Noche Buena. So that was I think I can relate a bit of on the movie as well as a kid. Yung anak ni Arnold, because yun naman yung natin parang toys talaga ng bata. And it's always the busy parents kasi. And I would recommend it just for the sake of for FYI, especially to the younger audience. But it's really sobrang Christmas niya. Sobrang Christmas feels kasi. Yun sa akin.
Yun, thank you, Noah, for the recommendation. No? Pero sige, for tonight kasi, it's not really a Christmas movie. You can't really say it's a Christmas movie. But recently kasi, the movie by Guillermo del Toro just came out. And it's called Pinocchio. So I think it's been in Netflix for already 1 week, diba? So parang so with that span of the show already streaming on Netflix, we can say na since it was also released in December, we can already say na sige, it's a Christmas movie because it came out in December. But at the same time, this year, Disney also released their live action adaptation of Pinocchio. So you have around September ata, diba? So Disney, kumbaga meron siyang animation before, and if you remember the song When You Wish Upon a Star, diba? If kung alala niyo yun, sa animation, and dito nyo lang kung mapapakanta sa podcast na to.
More.
Yun lang yun. Yun lang yung kaya ng talent speak. Joke. Peace. Ayan. So, Disney had the animation before, so they went into doing a live action adaptation with Tom Hanks as Geppetto. And nagkataon rin na sumabay rin yung version ni Netflix. Itong version naman ni Netflix is a parang stop motion animation na version. And syempre this is directed and basically created by Guillermo del Toro, and if you know Guillermo del Toro, he has a knack for creating characters or redesigning characters, diba? So before yun yung pag-usapan natin tonight, and I would like to know what you, Noah, and Blake ano yung thoughts nyo? Overall thoughts muna tayo. Siguro let's start with the Disney movie. Ano yung thoughts nyo? And then let's talk about the Netflix version of Pinocchio. So yeah. Sige, Noah.
Ako kasi I haven't seen or watched Pinocchio as in isang upuan. Parang alam mo yun, may idea ka lang who Pinocchio is sa mga storybooks, sa mga clips lang na nakikita mo. Pero yung talagang panoorin ko si Pinocchio, yung the whole movie. This is the first time I sat and watched and learned more about Pinocchio. Alam ko lang, he's made of wood, humahaba yung ilong pag
Pag
nagsisinungaling,
nagsisinungaling.
which is very familiar for all kids na sige haba yung ilong mo pag nagsinungaling ka. Doon yun eh. Doon yun ang galing. But it's the Disney version is really a Disney version. Yun ang masasabi ko. Parang it's really for kids. There's a certain range talaga na kids would be able to connect to it. And nostalgia din siya for kids who grew up watching Disney movies or Disney fairy tales. And yung impression ko sa kanya, kasi una ko siya pinanood compared dun sa Netflix. So, light lang, chill lang. Doon ko nalaman na ito wag niyo akong i-judge guys. Doon ko lang nalaman na gawa pala siya sa puno ng pine. So doon na siya connect, Pinocchio, ganyan-ganyan. Tapos, light lang siya. Tapos medyo okay din yung interaction with the animals kasi nga the animals were CG, di ba? Pero smooth siya for the standards of kids. Kumbaga talagang siya, light lang and sobrang chill lang siya na palabas. At the end, nairaos naman and I'm happy in a way na pinanood ko siya. Hindi ko pa masasabi na wow ako sa kanya. Pero because it's the first time I saw the whole movie and have a more understanding of who and what Pinocchio is. So, ayun, okay sa akin. Siguro if it's, sabi nga natin, this is a Christmas special. If a whole family would watch it kasi hindi naman siya sobrang haba, it's a good fit for the whole family.
Ayan. How about
Yun
you,
ang
Blake?
akin.
How about you? How about yung Netflix naman na version? What can you say about the next Netflix version of Pinocchio?
The Netflix version, what I admire with it, compared to the Disney version, because like, for Disney, this is the second time they've done this version of Pinocchio, and of course, there have been many different versions of Pinocchio movies, live action, animation. So there's always different, unique styles and approaches to what's done. A lot of them always follow the same formula. They would sometimes play it a little bit safe with the design of the characters, and the direction as well. Somewhat, most of the time, they always base it off of the Disney version rather than the book version, which has a lot of differences that were not found in the Disney version, like the treatment of Geppetto and Pinocchio in the first few chapters. With the Netflix version, naman, I like it has a much more unique and fresher approach and how it tells its story. I like how the design of it didn't want to be conventional.
Agree.
And I mean, syempre, it's Guillermo Toro's, style. So for one that's nasty, he'll add something much more to it. He'll add his own flair. And I think that's really great. That he's playing safe, but at the same time, not playing safe with material that he can work with, which I think is the biggest strength of the Netflix version with what it has is that it can be unique on its own. Although I'm not sure if it's for kids.
Oh, we'll talk about that later, no? So how both movies can compare if you want it to be a quote unquote a family movie. But let's talk about that in the latter part of the show. Siguro ang next na question ko would be kasi basically if I tell the story right now as it begins, no, the Netflix version starts off differently versus the Disney version. Basically it tackles more Geppetto's relationship with yung anak niya, no. So versus dun sa Disney version na diretso tayo dun sa sa moment in life ni Geppetto that he's already suffering from grief. So how do you feel about it? Kasi ako nung nag-start yung Netflix na version, sabi ko sa sarili ko, oh no, we're not going there. Wag mo muna akong saktan. Sinaktan muna tayo ng Netflix version bago tayo pumasok sa real Pinocchio story kasi nagsimula siya with Geppetto's relationship with his real son. Anong nangyari, anong background, anong history nun, and then what happened after, bakit nawala yung anak niya, and pinaiyak tayo muna ng Netflix. Kayo, how did you feel about that part of the story sa Netflix? Ikaw muna siguro, Noah. Oh yeah, go.
Ako kasi yun nga, dahil nauna kong pinanood si Disney, then with Netflix, it gives you a more understanding yung longingness ni Geppetto sa anak niya and what pushed him to create a puppet. Kasi it's in the real world, kunyari sa panahon natin ngayon, if your son died and you make a something to replace, it's a weird. Parang, wala na to, may tama na to. Parang gano'n. Ako, delikado na to. The mental na sunod na ito. Ganun siya di ba? In the real world. But because in Netflix, mas yun nga, it really gave us an understanding where Geppetto is coming from. To the point na yung tinanim na pine na kinuha ng anak niya, tinanim niya dun sa mismong puntod, tapos dun pa tumubo yung pine tree. Parang sobrang grabe yung attachment lalo niya kay Pinocchio. Na this is an embodiment, not just because I'm longing, pero talagang may connect. So, sad siya in a way, pero ang galing nung storytelling. Sa akin, storytelling wise, it's more specific and more explanation where again Geppetto is coming from. Galing.
Yep, sige. Blake, how about you?
Well, I mean, for me, I like again with the intro of the Netflix version with Pinocchio, it actually gives more weight to why Geppetto is the way he is and why he creates Pinocchio in the first place. I like that they went that route. It really separates it talaga from the Disney version because, syempre, whenever you hear Pinocchio, in general, people will always think of the Disney version because that's the one that almost everyone grew up with. Actually, honestly, like when I was growing up, I watched the original cartoon, and then I think somewhere in grade school, our teachers handed us like the real Pinocchio book, and we were shocked to find out like, oh, so this is what actually happens. I guess this is very different. So I was like, oh, grabe. And then now I hear about this new Netflix Pinocchio and the route that they're taking, especially that it's Guillermo del Toro who's doing it. I was just like, wow, okay, they're really gonna lean in a bit more closer to the book or what the book's feeling and genre is, rather than again being a bit more, I would say, desaturated for kids. Now this can be a story that is not afraid to hit the right emotional marks in terms of like very heavy themes, but at the same time to the point where it's not so heavy that it becomes overwhelming.
Okay. But is it the same as kasi ako I have not read the book eh. How do you how
Um,
would you compare it sa books?
I mean, there are still there's still pretty few noticeable differences
Mhm.
bit, but the baseline of the story and some of the plot beats are still pretty
Mhm.
much the same, somewhat. I mean, it still has the core values of what you're looking for in the story, and the relationships and the chemistry between the characters are still there, and the characteristics as well. So, um, but yeah, of course, the Netflix one takes some different liberties compared to the book, but that's fine. I think it's an okay choice for them to do, seeing as, again, it wants to have its own identity, and I think that was the right call.
Oh, okay. Sige. Kasi sobrang no, sobrang it's the way that the two movies were executed were really far from each other. And the
Mm.
next following scenes pa lang, the way that Geppetto reacted, kasi ang kwento nun is, ginawa ni Geppetto yung
Spoilers
puppet.
alert. Spoiler,
Spo-
full
siguro,
spoiler
siguro di
to.
na siya masyadong spoilery kasi I think the animated film was already out for a couple of years already. So a little bit
Pati kung hindi
spoilery.
mo alam yung story ni Pinocchio, di ba? Grabe ka naman.
Okay, sige. I'll
Si
be
Pinocchio po ay gawa sa kahoy,
gawa sa kahoy
guys.
Oo. Gawa sa
Bago niyo
pine.
makalimutan.
Ayan. Okay, so yun na nga. So medyo let's just talk about the relationship of Geppetto and Pinocchio. Kasi yun na nga, ginawa ni Geppetto yung puppet and then the blue fairy depicted differently in the animation, in the live action Disney version and different from the Netflix as well, 'di ba? So you have a fairy godmother version sa animated film. You have a black fairy godmother sa live action. Then you have a parang beautifully crafted picture of I don't know what na fairy. Ano version 'yon? Sa
Guillermo del Toro.
a very Guillermo del Toro version
Oo.
of a blue fairy that gave life to the puppet. And then syempre, it gave life to the puppet, nagising yung puppet and Geppetto woke up na gumagalaw mag-isa yung puppet. Na parang okay,
Mm.
it's how ako kasi when I watch this scene comparing both scenes, no, there's a very big difference with how Geppetto reacted para sa akin. Sa Disney movie, it was easy to parang okay, na medyo freakish lang that you have a wooden puppet moving, pero parang somehow madaling yung level of
Tanggap
acceptance
agad.
sa parang medyo madali
Oo.
for Geppetto to accept it. In the Netflix
Mm.
version, hindi, it was really scary.
It was a, it was really freaky.
Diba? Which is, in fact, parang, it would make sense. So, Blake, ano sa
It's
tingin mo dun sa
normal.
sa just that scene and then how the relationship built up after?
So yeah, I think the way that they did the scene, I know it's pretty accurate na how someone would react to that in real life. It's not like a Disney movie or show where you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, the puppet is alive! Hooray!" You're gonna be like, "Oh my god, the puppet is alive! What the hell?"
Sabay pinapunta agad sa eskwelahan.
No, 'di ba? Oo, ang bilis ng progress. Ang bilis ng character
Ang
development.
acceptance. Sa ano yan, sa Disney. Pero yung ako sa akin, parang it makes sense nga naman if you'll freak out and then try mo siyang itaboy eh. Kasi kung ako kung makakita ako ng living doll na mahabol sa akin, inisip ko agad sila Chucky, pati sila ano. Di ba? Parang,
Chucky talaga yung
hindi, mali
comparison.
ito eh. Mali ito, hindi. Tapos diba, yung ano pa, yung parang pagkagawa pa ni Pinocchio in the Netflix version, sobrang rough pa eh.
Mm-mm.
Alam mo naman, syempre, it's Guillermo art eh. Kumbaga sobrang, may mga, kala mo, hindi man lang sinandpaper, hindi man lang finish si Pinocchio. Kumbaga kala mo, log lang na inassemble. Tapos, ano, it makes sense, pero it gives, yun nga, distinction of the Netflix version and the Disney version. Kaya
Yeah,
okay siya sa akin.
exactly. Pero siguro I'll ask this muna sa no, how while we try to
Mm.
fix Blake's internet. um
That's part of the
that's
drama,
part of the
guys.
drama.
Ah.
Ayan. Overall perception mo dun sa relationship nila, the whole story sa relationship
Mm.
ni Pinocchio and ni Geppetto. How do you feel about their the how they started the relationship and then how it progressed sa story?
Yun nga, sa Disney version kasi, it doesn't give us an in-depth understanding of why Pinocchio was made by Geppetto. So, it was yung progress ng character makes sense din sa Disney kasi hindi naman natin nakita yung yung pain.
Mm.
Kumbaga, it was easy for Geppetto in the Disney version to accept and to, yeah, this is my kid now or this is mine. Kasi we were not witness of the pain that he went through. So it makes sense na nagkaroon ng character development. O sige, you go to school, you are now like my kid, you are now mine. It makes sense, and siguro yun nga, it's because of the target market eh. They know Disney's target market is for kids. Hindi nila kailangan na paiyakin yung mga
Mm.
bata. Which is, wag naman, kasi matotrauma din yung mga bata. Nay, dati ba ako, hindi ba, tong bata ba ako? Baka hindi ako dating, baka Pinocchio ako dati ha. Ganun. Paisipin ng mga bata, ganun. Well, in the next Netflix version, it makes sense na hindi niya kagad tangkapin kasi we saw the pain eh. We saw the longingness, and you cannot just replace your kid or your son with just a toy that you made.
Mm.
You may have made it, but it's not a replacement. So it makes sense in both media or in both versions.
Mm.
Yeah.
Ikaw, Blake, how about you?
Mm, I have to go with the Netflix one, to be honest.
Mm.
Mm.
Because, I mean, yeah, the Disney version's a classic. And, everyone knows it. But I said there's more emotional weight to the Netflix one. Plus, but I do acknowledge the fact that it's great that the new Disney reboot of Pinocchio maintains the same spirit of the animated film. Because, for example, it's not made for us. Yeah, it's not made for us. It's not made for people who grew up with the cartoon of Pinocchio. It's made for the new younger generation that's growing up right now.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean honestly, like, yeah, some of us can still have thoughts now. Why remake it? Like, when there's already the cartoon anyway. Well, I mean, sometimes they could watch the live action if they want to. They can watch the cartoon. I mean, it's their choice, but at least now, syempre, they're more receptive to things that look a lot more new. So, yeah, there's a plus, there's a win for them remaking it in that way. Plus, people our age can just enjoy the Netflix one since it's a lot
Mm.
more in our emotional and psychological spectrum,
Mm.
so to speak.
Yeah, which sige. So that's just no the father and son mga concept that Pinocchio is exploring in the story. How do you feel about the other characters? Sino yung favorite characters nyo? Ano yung mga favorite interactions nyo with the other characters? Blake, ka muna.
For me, Jiminy Cricket there. Like both versions that I got, they're still pretty much the same character. Although, medyo biased ako dun sa Netflix version because it's voiced by Ewan
Yeah,
McGregor.
ang galing nung voice acting
Yeah.
ni Ewan McGregor actually doon. Pero so far as the
Yeah.
character of Jiminy Cricket is, 'di ba? The parang yung mission niya or yung purpose niya in Pinocchio's character, I felt the Disney version had more had more exploration into the character versus the Netflix. Or ako lang ba 'yon? Kasi feeling ko mas mas provide ng highlight that he is really Pinocchio's parang anong tawag doon, conscience versus doon sa
Mm-mm.
Netflix na hindi masyado or wala masyadong although I really like yung voice acting and the way that the character was portrayed, pero hindi masyado nag-focus dun sa character mismo ni ni the talking cricket in the
Jiminy Cricket.
Netflix
Mm-mm.
version. Ako lang ba yun, or is that also what you observe?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that observation. I think with that regard, Disney did a better job at it. Nah, it really highlights the importance of Jiminy Cricket, not just to Pinocchio, but to the whole story as a whole. And I mean, that's one of the major factors and themes of the
Mm.
character Pinocchio and his development. So I don't know, when they did kind of make him a bit more of like a side character na medj parang wala lang sa Netflix, I was like, eh, could be
Parang,
better.
yeah,
Pero,
what I felt guys, it's para mas POV character lang, point of view character lang
Mhm.
si Cricket dun sa Netflix, and it's just
Sa
him narrating
Netflix.
what is happening. Not really parang exploring the emotional spectrum din ni Jiminy Cricket. Ikaw, Noah, sa
mm,
tingin mo, what, or is there any other characters din na nagustuhan mo sa films?
With me being being syempre tatay. Yung of course yung Peto is interesting talaga. Interesting sa akin. Because of course, hopefully di ko pa naman naranasan losing a son or what. Pero as a parent, acceptance of an embodiment of your kid is not easy. Is not iba siya yung magkakaroon ka ulit ng anak eh. Iba yung aampon ka. Pero it's a technically a non-living
Mm.
thing na tatanggapin mo as yun nga kumbaga sabi ko nga in the real world baliw ka kung tuturing mong anak yung puppet, 'di ba? Parang ganoon. And yes, yung kay Jiminy Cricket, sobrang natuwa ako kasi kumbaga it's the first, sabi ko nga, this is the first time I watched it. So hindi lang pala siya basta cricket lang na magulo doon. So he really has a big role, especially in the Disney version,
Mm.
na nakasalalay sa'yo yung pagiging tao ni Pinocchio. And talagang doon sinabi na you are the conscience. Magtatatayo kang conscience. So sa akin, yun na. Actually, yung dalawang yun doon talaga, aside sa doon talaga umikot yung story ni Pinocchio, I fascinated talaga ako doon sa character build-up nila. And then the distinction of both movies kasi magkaiba nga yung though they are the same characters, they're distinctly different. Malalaman mo kaagad, ay, yan yung version ni Netflix na Gepetto or ni Cricket. Ay, hindi, yan yung version ni Disney. So, ang galing, ang galing. Ang galing how they made it very unique in a way na we know, everybody knows it's a classic, but how can you really make it different? That's with those characters. Ayos sa akin.
Yeah, agree. I couldn't agree more, no? And at the same time, gusto ko rin i-promote yung isa pang paborito ko pong character. Actually, mas lumabas siya sa Netflix, and he's in the Disney pero hindi siya ganun kalaking character eh. Pinaka gustong character sa Netflix, si Spatzatura, the monkey. Ewan ko, for some reason, he has more character development than Cricket. Para sa
Doon
akin.
sa Netflix. True.
Diba? Kasi parang he's one of he's portrayed as one of the sidekicks ng villains. But at the same time, dito sa Netflix, there's a turning point din for that character na
Meron siyang redeeming
meron
factor.
siyang redeeming factor which I really like about about his character. So, kayo, any other characters aside from, if you also like Spatzatura, okay lang. Pero any other characters that you also like?
Not really like, pero kumbaga yung
Or
si fairy
mm,
godmother na Disney. Kasi kumaga, oy, ah, mukhang si Disney kaya din ginawa to para maging medyo controversial. Kasi, kumbaga, aside from the characters, even the run of the story, yung mga punchline, it's updated eh. Parang,
mm,
siya, medyo millennial yung dating. Alam mo yun, parang
mm.
sabihin mo na, oh, you'll be popular, you'll be
Oo,
viral. Mga
correct.
ganong
Parang ganun yung
bagay.
approach eh, no?
Oo,
Oo.
okay. Okay, medyo siya, medyo parang it's coping to the current or the present days na mas makaka-relate ang mga audience and especially the kids na so nung nakita ko si Fairy Godmother, sabi ko, syempre, alam naman natin, fairy godmother
Mm.
is, or a fairy is this one. Pero syempre, end of the day, fairies are, ano
Have no
ba?
races or whatever, ano,
Have no
color.
races, have no ethnicity,
Have no
have
color,
no
di ba?
color. So, sabi ko, tama naman. Well, there's no distinction of what a fairy is unless nakakita ka talaga ng
Na totoong fairy.
fairy in person. Sige, ipaglaban mo yan.
Para,
Yun, ang galing. Pati, ang cute, ang cute. Ang cute niya, sabi nga, cute niya, bagay kayo talaga, Disney.
parang yung yung debate rin, 'di ba? When Rings of Power came out and there were people of color na elves, na parang people are debating why are elves of people
La.
of color, 'di ba? So parang hindi naman daw ganun. Pero wait lang, elves yan, 'di ba? They're fictional creatures or characters. How can you say what color they're? They may not be rin nga is puti, di siguro dapat puti rin yung mga yan, 'di ba? Ikaw, Blake, any other
Yun
character?
nga.
Or let me ask you, ano yung mga scenes or favorite scenes mo sa in either of the films?
Hmm.
Kasi sige, habang pinag-iisipan mo yan, ako may sagot ako dyan. Ang isa sa mga favorite scene ko is more on the Netflix version. Ito kasi yung version na Pinocchio handled a quote-unquote gun. Kasi doon sa story, Pinocchio went to the military. It's kasi nakaset siya in a fascist Italy na era.
Italy.
So parang Pinocchio went to military training, and kasama niya
Is
si
that their version of Is that their version of the parang Fantasyland na kumakain?
parang
Just a
ganun
Disney
nga
version.
parang ganun nga yung
Parang
feeling
ganun,
ko.
no?
Oo. So kung sa Disney
Okay.
version may Fantasyland, sa Netflix version may military
May boot
military
camp.
may boot camp, and I don't know if how they would compare that to being Jack Ace. Diba? So, yeah, isa sa mga favorite scenes ko yun kasi there's also a character development in one of the characters, si Candlewick. No? So, they're supposed to fight each other, they're supposed to battle it out kasi they're parang in a military training, meron silang parang ginawang exercise that they need to win versus each other, versus Pinocchio and Candlewick. And sa dulo, it sends a message na, okay, we don't really need to fight each other. Let's just call it a tie. And then when they presented it to the father
Both
of Chan,
us
diba?
win.
Both of us will win. And then nung they presented it with the father, nagalit yung tatay. And then syempre may message na nakatago rin doon. And that's what I really like about that particular scene sa Netflix version. Yeah. Blake, how about you?
I'm still trying to choose it without pa. For now.
Pero which
I
ones
will-
ang pinagpipilian mo?
like among the two films?
Yeah.
Netflix talaga.
Sige. So habang
It's Guillermo del Toro.
Sige, let's put more focus sa Netflix. Let's go to the technical aspect. So we know that siya, stop motion animation siya. And I'll direct this question sa iyo, Blake, no. How do you feel about the whole process, the whole output nung gawa ni Guillermo del Toro?
Well, I appreciated the fact that he went full stop motion for the film. even though everyone knows that it's really difficult to shoot stop motion films.
Mm-mm.
But it did it gave its own unique style to the film. It worked well with the aesthetic, the overall aesthetic of the film, and again, it also set itself apart from the other versions because they could have just easily done a CGI cartoon movie, but no, they're like, we're not just gonna put CGI. We're gonna have these characters be stop motion. Which that's the thing I appreciate about Guillermo del Toro. It's that yes, his movies do have mostly majority. There's always going to be this aspect that he'll go more practical than CGI. It's not. I mean, rather, it's not just CGI. There's going to be a lot more practicals there, like the sets, the costumes, the um, let's say, for example, the creatures, the
Mm.
designs. He'll always go for the more practical effect rather than CGI effect, and I think this was his this was his next best way to do that for Pinocchio, which I mean I applaud him for doing to maintaining his somewhat signature style, albeit subtle.
Mm.
Um,
Pero come to think of it, oh, it's a movie about a puppet. So why don't we make a movie using puppetry?
actually, on
Diba?
Sobrang ano niya. On spot.
On the spot, 'di ba? So we it's Pinocchio is a puppet, so let's do let's do puppetry in this movie. Diba? Ang next question ko siguro is ano. Sige, go ahead, Blake.
I think at some point they were like, do we want to actually make it like puppets? But they're like, no, they might think it's like Team America.
I think it makes sense din kasi dahil nga, kumbaga, we're in the era of, sabihin natin, it's more on superhero movies, it's more on live action, it's more on CGI. Why not use another medium, which it may be quote unquote hindi pang box office, hindi pang pang trending number one, but you would know that it will work for how many decades. Parang pangmatagalan siyang version of of Pinocchio. Parang pang all-time favorite yung dating niya. Yun yung sa akin. Kaya okay yung approach talaga.
Yeah, saka
Guillermo.
I think matagal na, when was the last time that we had a 'di ba? A stop motion movie? Hindi ko rin maalala kung
Agree.
ang maalala ko lang Corpse Bride ata. Not sure if that's the last one, pero that's what I can recall, di ba? Sobrang onte that people are still or production companies
because it's really tedious. It's really tedious.
Medyo mahirap gawin, di ba? In terms of ito medyo hindi naman we can really criticize about. Let's talk about the music and the songs. Kasi I don't like the songs sa Netflix. I don't know, wala siyang recall. Wala siyang, hindi siya memorable yung mga songs na ginawa nila for Netflix. And you compare it, syempre, Disney has, yun nga, kinataw kanina, When You Wish Upon a Star. And then yung music that they use the whole movie has the Disney brand and sobrang appreciate ko rin. Kaya how do you feel about the music, Noah?
I would say the same thing. Because maybe I'm a bit Disneyfied dahil lumaki tayo sa Disney. So, as far as with the music, syempre, hindi mo talaga maaalis or iba yung recall ng iba yung recall syempre ng Disney music. Tapos, kumbaga nila yun talagang forte nila yun to make sure that the music will resonate to you. And they've been using, syempre yung kantang Wish Upon the Star, they've been using that for how many years? And when that song plays on the radio or anywhere, it's Pinocchio. And of course, with siguro, kasi ako, I would be honest, pwede kong ulit-ulitin yung sa Netflix eh. Mas kaya ko siyang ulit-ulitin. So, there might be, kung ilang beses ko man siya ulitin, siguro doon na ako magkakaroon ng recall with the music they used. Definitely, the music they used there was akma din doon sa style ng ano kasi nila eh. Kumbaga style ng delivery nila of Pinocchio. Siyempre, hindi nila pwedeng gamitin si siya pa na star sa Netflix. At baka
copyrighted yun.
magkarambulan sila. Pero yun yan. Music-wise, maybe it still work as far as with the market. Which is, I think, the same strategy of all movies naman. Kaya yung recall, mabilis din. Kasi pang ano eh, alam mo yung mas mabilis din maiintindihan ng bata, mas mabilis din siya marirecall ng younger generation. Kaya si Disney, magaling na sila dyan eh. Alam na natin yun. Yun.
Yeah. How about you, Blake?
I think the Netflix one should not have had music to begin with. I mean, like, like the song. Yeah, they should have just like opted just like all instrumental tracks na lang.
Or just play with the score, no?
Yeah, the score. Sorry, yeah, score. I don't know. That was I think that's the biggest thing that bugs me out of the movie. Is like, why? You don't need to.
When Pinocchio started singing nung sa Netflix version na parang, what the F are you doing?
Makalas ka sana.
I know Geppetto did not put the effort into making vocal cords in your neck to sing that much.
And
naging music box.
And it was kinda annoying, diba? So parang, ano to?
Like, oh God.
Okay.
Look at the no. At least it wasn't a jukebox musical.
Pero kasi yung genre niya, if you check it in Google, with the Netflix version, it's fantasy/musical talaga eh. So pinili talaga
maging musical pa rin.
musical.
Okay.
But that's Google Google interpretation. So maybe for others, it's really nag-recall sa kanila yung music. So musical. Okay.
Baka in the future maging memorable yung songs. I don't know. For me it wasn't really memorable the songs that they
Hindi
used.
Hindi siya catchy.
Although the score was really was good in the movie. Yung lang, yung music lang, yung songs that they used. Okay, last question before we end this discussion. So tulad ng na-discuss natin kanina, comparing both movies, how do you recommend watching these movies? Kasi syempre it looks like these movies have different audiences they are targeting. So how do you recommend that people watch these versions?
Ako, I would, as kunyari teacher ako, if for elementary students, grade 1 to 6 or preschool, sige, Disney tayo. Then if it's already in first year high school going adult, mag-Netflix version tayo. Kasi parang si Disney more on building character, not just a character as in yung cast, yung character ng bata, yung how the world goes, how your future lies ahead, your every decision will affect your future. Parang ganun si Disney. Yeah, yung magiging pop. Yun nga, 'di ba, medyo medyo in-update nila yung hugot ng mga script, like, oh, you'll be popular, you'll go viral, people will like you, people will go it's better than studying. Yan, kasi yan yung mga dilemma ng mga bata ngayon. Ano ba, mag-aaral ako, mag-YouTuber na lang ako.
YouTuber na lang ako,
Medyo medyo pasok siya with the Disney version.
I want to be like PewDiePie.
Diba? I would like to be Mr. Beast or Mr. Knight of Fun. Parang ganyan. Diba? Ayan. So, pasok siya sa certain age. Then, when it goes to adolescent period kasi, you understand emotions na eh. You understand depression, you understand anxiety. So, Netflix really works for, sabihin natin, 13 years old, 15 years old, pataas. So, kung ako papipiliin naman, personally, syempre, talagang doon sa Netflix ako. Bukod sa sponsor nila tayo madalas. Charot. ano,
Dude,
it's the art, syempre, the art of storytelling is really in the Netflix version. Yung storytelling niya, talagang ang galing nung pagkalatag nung characters, nung setting, even nung nasa yung war, may
Mm.
pasok nila yung war, yung Nazi Germany, ganyan-ganyan. Ang galing. So sa akin, yun yung take ko. Pero it has its own market. So there's no bad movie or bad version. There's just a certain target kasi siya.
Yeah.
Yun.
Blake, how about you?
I think for the best viewing experience, watch the original cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Agree.
watch the remake. But at least you have a refresher, see if they did anything differently. If you really want the nostalgia trip, and then after that, you could watch the Netflix one if you want. If you want it to be a little bit different, it's all up to you. I would recommend it, especially if you like stop motion films.
Nice, nice. Yeah, we're talking about ano diba? This being a Christmas watch for everyone who's watching because Netflix just came out. If you're watching it and you have kids around you, I would recommend, yeah, same kay Blake. I would recommend watching the animated film first, yung cartoons. I think it nag-expand, hindi naman siya it can be watched even by the new generation. I think that the animated film is timeless pa rin until now.
Oh,
I don't feel much about the live action, but if you want to explore it more and see Tom Hanks is being a good actor himself, portray Geppetto very well then, so you can do that. But definitely for us who grew up watching Pinocchio na ng animated pa, the Netflix version is a really new flavor in our taste buds in our mouth. And
Pero bago
talagang
tayo matapos, paglalaban ko rin na nabasa ko din yan yung Pinocchio. Pero ito yung Pinocchio na nabasa ko dati.
yung
Yung ito,
yung
alam
mga
mo ganito,
booklet na oo.
hindi yung talagang hindi yung mismong
Disneyfied
yung
din na
libro makapal. Oh, Disneyfied pa rin. So
Disneyfied
I'm
pa rin.
really Disney,
You
baka
grew
naman
up with
nakakailang
Disney.
ka na kayo sa akin
Ayan. So yeah, so for everyone who's watching or who are listening to us, yeah, Pinocchio is a good watch if you want to spend it with your family. It's available both in Disney Plus, so they have the Disney version is on Disney Plus, while Netflix, syempre, you can find it on Netflix. So yeah, we can end the show. Again, kudos to my co-host dito sa podcast natin sa Cup of Geek podcast. We have Noah, we have Blake. And syempre, if you like our episode, please make sure to like and please make sure to also leave a comment sa whatever platform that you're watching. May it be YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. So yeah, so that is our episode for tonight. Thank you for listening, for watching. I am your Night of Fun. This has been Noah. This has been Blake. And this is your The Cup of Geek podcast. See ya. Bye.
Merry Christmas!
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas, guys!
Bye, everybody.